Pal David Hochberg's here. Thanks for lunch the other day, my friend.
No, thanks for joining me.
How did that go, your luncheon?
It was delicious.
Yeah.
Did Steve eat fast? Because he always does.
No, we actually ate really slow.
We spent like an hour and a half together, and we walked hand in hand out by the
Yeah.
golf course.
This was not the first date.
We
but it
met
was
the new manager, the club manager.
Good guy.
Yeah,
Good guy.
Club manager.
Okay.
The beautiful White Eagle Golf Club. David Hochberg, here's a question of the day. What's one thing you haven't done yet in your life that you always thought you would have done by now?
Go over to Normandy to see the beaches.
Yeah, you got to do
and
that.
to do that tour. We talked about it at
you
lunch.
gotta do
That's one of my bucket list things that I want to do.
You do need to do that.
I want to do that. I am a history guy. I think I mentioned to you last Sunday, everybody was gone. I just flipped on Band of Brothers and burned through all 7, 8 episodes for like the 10th time. So just fast. I love that stuff.
Am I remembering this correctly? Didn't Band of Brothers premiere the night before 9/11?
Oh, really?
Really?
I don't remember
I'm not
that.
sure about that. Let me double check.
I feel like it was interrupted by, this horrible piece of history, and then obviously brought back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, we'll wait with bated breath until time
Wow,
gets
yeah,
right.
no, September 9th.
Wow.
Yeah,
September
2 days
9th,
before.
2001.
Wow.
That's wild.
And it was seriously hype for obviously
Yeah,
the right reasons.
right.
It's Tom Hanks, it's Band of Brothers, and all that. And obviously our attention was diverted.
It always seems like it was planned. I mean, it was planned, but like that timing.
That's crazy.
At 7:39, anybody else on this show want to tell me one thing you haven't done yet in your adult life you always thought you would have by now?
Skydive.
Yeah.
Why? This is George Carlin to me. Why would you jump out of a plane that's not broken?
Yeah, well, I've seen a lot of really brave guys do it, and I'd like to try it myself.
You got to do it once.
I don't
Just
think
try
so.
it once. Then you don't have to go back.
I would get on a rocket and go to the International Space Station before I'd skydive.
Really?
Yeah.
I would skydive before I'd go on a rocket.
Yeah. I think a rocket would be a blast.
I went skydiving already 3 times, so I'm good. That's why I said that. I don't have to do it anymore.
I wouldn't mind going into a nuclear ballistic submarine ride. That seems kind of cool.
I've been on a nuke sub, but when you could still tour them
Yeah.
with a jarhead with somebody that was on them. The idea of spending 90 days
Wild.
below water
A little crazy.
with a bunch of dudes.
yeah.
That's not my idea of a good time.
I mean, I've gone through the submarine at the Museum of Science and Industry, Ken Griffith's museum now.
U 505 or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's still fascinating every time I go through that. I mean, just imagine what the
real thing.
German submariners went through, having depth charges dropped on them. So yeah, just a whole different.
I think I would. The one thing I haven't done yet in my adult life, I always thought I would be a stronger swimmer. I never spent any time swimming when I was a kid. You're in water, but you just goof around and stuff. Wasn't encouraged. And then the only reason I found out I could swim is when I nearly drowned.
You
And
can
it
take
saved my
swim
life.
lessons still.
I got a pool. We could have a breath holding contest. See who
Could I
wins.
get like giant water wings and like a nose plug and a bathing cap where I look really sexy?
Could have we'll do the one pieces from the 20s. Those are really hot.
I'd like to invite you out on my boat about 5 miles off the shore of Lake Michigan sometime.
Yeah,
Just you and me.
you and Robert Wagner.
What are those
I've got some
endpoints?
really heavy shoes for you.
Suddenly Nick's shoving me.
Let me see you swim.
I don't know. He tripped.
How funny are you out here, mister?
Natalie Wood, what are you doing down here?
I should be more concerned. I mean, I've been sailing on Lake Michigan many times, and I should be more concerned about that.
Well, you can tread water, right?
I saved my own life, so I know I can swim
Okay.
for minutes at a time.
Yeah.
Something you thought you would have done by now. Michael, you must have something.
Oh, yeah, I'm going back to that transportation theme that a couple other folks have had. I want to drive a steam engine.
Oh, yeah.
That would be
We
cool.
got to set that up,
I was
man.
going to say, I think we can make that happen.
That's the
Can't
least
we
we
make that
could do
happen?
for Michael. He ought to be able to operate a train.
As long as it's not that little blue bastard Thomas.
That's my cousin. How dare you?
That was the last special they did about it.
The little blue bastard.
That little blue bastard. Yeah. Behind the scenes of Thomas the Tank Engine.
I think it was after the meth that things started going downhill.
Miranda, in your long life,
21 years on this planet.
it's 24.
24.
What's
sorry.
the one thing you haven't done yet?
Write a check or leave the country.
Well, if depending on the check you write, you might have to leave the country.
Right. 24.
And
the mouth of
Nick,
babes.
outside of killing me, what do you got?
Growing up?
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
he's a
Still
kid
got
old.
time.
Oh, no, you're plenty adult by now. Don't get any more adult than you are. All right, David Hochberg, what are we looking at in money today?
Yeah, the labor market, right? Everybody's like, it's horrible. It's really, ADP released their report yesterday, 158,000 jobs. The IT sector was down. Hospitality and leisure were down. So it's still strong, but not as strong, which is giving the bond market a little hope. We saw interest rates come down a little bit yesterday because the bond traders are looking at going into the future, and they're taking any bit of information that they could get. So when they're seeing a jobs number, and the JOLTS report came out that showed that the employment is slowing down. It's still strong, but it's not as strong as it once was, which is good for the economy. How strong is the labor market? Here, just to reiterate and solidify that point, the U.S. economy has seen unemployment rate below 4% for 27 straight months, longest streak since 1967. Guess when the longest streak was? 35 months. Guess what? When?
35 months in the 80s.
Nope. After World War II.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, occurred in 1951 and lasted 35 months. So they're expecting unemployment report. The Friday, the BLS employment report is going to be, labor statistics report is going to be released tomorrow. They're expecting 3.9% unemployment, which is still good. But here's the only challenge. 65% of middle-class Americans are struggling financially. According to a recent study, regardless of the income level, almost 60% of the people polled claim they are going through financial hardship. And I'll tell you what, guys, we are seeing it with the calls that we are getting. Four calls this week, including last Friday, of listeners that have over $100,000. One guy in Glenview.
In debt?
On their credit card. A couple in Skokie yesterday. And then another listener in Northbrook by me, $100,000.
I'm going to ask you a stupid question. You can laugh. How do you get $100,000 in credit card debt? How many cards are we talking about? And at what point should Visa and MasterCard, et cetera, be held to the responsibility of closing the bar down because you've had too much to drink?
Well, if you have limits on the cards and you're making the payments, you're fine, right? They'll continue. And the scary thing
You're
is,
making the payments.
they'll keep sending you credit cards. You'll get credit cards in the offer.
But isn't it something that there should be a
Yes.
you've had too much to drink limit on?
Yeah, you have to blow into a breathalyzer in order to start your car.
Wow.
And that's where we're at right now, right? And I'm not saying these three borrowers that I'm helping that listened and called are not using their credit card to go crazy and buy stuff they don't need.
They're just trying to live.
They're just buying stuff to live, right? They're not going out and buying a car, right? They're going out buying groceries. They're going out and paying for their kids' schooling. They're going out. Maybe the kid doesn't need. Maybe your 5'3" fat kid doesn't. It's going to be a goalie day. Doesn't need to be on travel hockey for $25,000.
Well, there's got to be a fat kid. Maybe it's a skinny kid.
Because I was the fat kid who couldn't skate backwards at the Nile Ice skating rink.
I got you. Okay.
All right. But my dad didn't spend $25,000 on travel hockey. But that's what's going. I talked to another friend of mine who, mortgage broker. He's like, I just refinanced my neighbor, $125,000, $50,000, and he's got two kids in travel hockey, $50,000. So listen, I'm not judging. I'm just saying it comes to a point where
you gotta stop spending.
Well, you have to see where you're at and put your budget together so you're not spending $25,000 on travel hockey. Let me ask you this: so you said that the job market was up, so people are hiring, but are they getting paid?
And hold that thought till we come back from this break.
Right.
David Hochberg, sir, what was your question before the break for Hochberg?
Well, my question was, if the job market is up, are these people getting paid any money? Are the companies paying?
Yeah, they're paying what the market value is, right? So hourly jobs are getting $18 to $20 an hour. All the kids that came back from college, I know because my daughters are out there working. They're getting $18 an hour. Their friends are getting $18, $19, $20 an hour, depending on the job, depending on the hours. But, these job numbers are a little misleading because it's a lot of these people that are getting the jobs are getting part-time jobs in order to supplement their income. It's a second job because they can't afford it. And, it's interesting. You asked me a question about inflation.
Well, because I was talking about the cost of living is up. Inflation is down.
Yeah. Well, here, oil prices crashed recently 10% the past 5 days over fears around the weakening global demand for oil, which is a sign that the manufacturing isn't as strong. So what did the oil-producing countries do? They cut back their production, right? So the demand went down, so these kind of bastards don't want to lose any money. So they cut their supply back in order to keep the prices high. But it did see a dip. And here's a true telling sign. On Sunday, I read an article that Walgreens, Target, and McDonald's, all three of them cut their prices. Okay, now those are three huge companies, and they don't have like a Red Cross flag out in front of them, right? I'm all for capitalism, but the way that those three and Walmart as well, throw them in there, have driven up their prices during the past 4 years. Yep. It's a telltale sign that people are stopped spending money that they don't have on crap that they don't need. Right. So when those four gigantic companies are starting to cut back their pricing, that's the way we cut inflation. Good. That's the way we get things back to normal. Listen, you dumped $4 trillion in the economy during COVID. And some of the people some of the listeners that got that money didn't need that money, but got it anyway. Some of the business owners that got that money that didn't need that money, and you know who you are, right? So when you start talking about student loan and all that other stuff, here's the deal with the student loans. You're paying on the student loans for 10 years. They're following the guidelines for student loan forgiveness. They're just doing it for you instead of having you apply for it. So if you're a big company owner, I know a bunch of you out there that got tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars of PPP money that you never paid back, and start barking about these kids with the student loans or their parents that have been paying on those student loans for 10, 15, 20 years, and per the statute that was passed through Congress, that is a law of the United States, those student loans are up for forgiveness right now, qualify. So the president is forgiving those loans, but people paid on those loans.
And there is a benefit to incumbency. Trump had it, Biden has it now, where you can make moves that are politically expedient that also can help people. So you can get upset all day about repaying student loans. But I think you make a good point. I mean, I know people in small businesses who know full well they ripped off the government and got away with it.
Yeah. I know one person that didn't get a dime, me, and I'm fine with it. Okay, I didn't need it. Mm-hmm. Okay, I also know people that had money dump into their savings account that still haven't used the money because they're freaked out that the government's going to come in and pull it back out.
Yeah.
Okay. I've got a production company that has 3 people working on it, me and 2 others.
Yes.
And I got solicitations to apply for these loans.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
7-8 times a day for 2 years.
Yeah.
And I never did it either.
Sure.
So you have to have some sense of honor. All right, so you and I met somebody the other day who's in town to buy a house. I think a lot of people are not to buy a house. He's buying a house because he moved here.
Yep.
I think anybody that is not in the market to do that now doesn't think about it and thinks, oh, the interest rates are so high. Life happens. People are coming in. People are leaving.
Yeah.
So in your business, your primary business at Team Hochberg, what's the situation today and what's it looking like?
Well, here, when you're coming in, the gentleman we talked to moved in for a job from another state halfway across the country. His wife's still there transitioning here. He's looking. He's got a realtor. Great. Some people don't have a realtor. If you need a realtor, give me a call. I'll introduce you to one because I've built relationships with a lot of them over the past 20 or close to 24 years. The market is right now, you're in the high 6s, low 7s. 45 days ago, you were solidly in the 7s, in the low 8s. So this is 45 days, guys.
Good.
Jane, this is what happened in 40. It constantly moves.
Yeah.
So it's like you said, Steve, this guy moved in for a job for his family. He moved 3,000 miles for a job. Okay, so people die.
You have to move. People
want to downsize. People are retiring, want to get the heck out of Illinois for the hundreds of reasons you want to get out of Illinois. So listen, it's a fluid market. I heard Goebel's tease, is it your forever home? I think, that's a great tease to listen. I think that's crap. Things happen, right? People die, people lose jobs, people have babies, family members move in. You got to move for a job. There's 400 different reasons you could move. So if you buy your house today, and everybody that's waiting, I'll give you an example. If you waited in 2018 for prices to come down, you just blew $150,000 equity opportunity on the same $400,000 home that you would have bought in 2018 because it's now worth $580,000, $600,000.
Right.
Okay? And guess what? Rates go up, rates go down. You think rates are high today? Ask the people that bought their homes in the early 80s when they were in the teens, right? And their $44,000 home that they bought in the 80s is now worth $444,000.
Yeah.
So it's all relative.
So,
Right?
David, I will say this, a good story. Like you said, it's fluid. I have a friend didn't need to sell, wanted to sell the house.
Yeah.
She put the house on the market. It sold in one day, said, oh my goodness, now I have nowhere to live. And she found a house within 7 days that she absolutely loves. And it was in her price range. It was perfect. And so I guess the point is, don't be afraid. This is something you need to do.
It's a fluid market. If you buy today in the 7s or the 6s, by the end of the year next year, hopefully we'll be in the 5s.
Well, but the other piece of this is, and I'm just saying this not just because you're my friend, but because I have done business with you for a number of years on a number of different projects, including my own house and home equity loans and things of that nature. When the loan rate drops, you'll call.
100%.
But not every company does that.
Well, that's our business model. I mean, listen, if we could put you, we make a little bit of money on every loan that we do, right? My philosophy has always been don't hit grand slams like Dave Kingman and have a batting average of 235, but you're hitting 75 home runs. I like keeping runners on the bases, hitting singles, and keeping everybody moving. And you make a little bit of money, and everybody keep our employees working, our support staff working, our appraisers working, the title. Everybody's making a little bit of money. So I'll give you an example. We refinanced a guy, one of my neighbors, 6-7 months ago, paid off a ton of debt. We saved him $3,000 a month, put him in an 8.625% loan. Right? He's like, oh, it's too high of a rate. I'm like, you're saving $3,000 a month. Okay, stop yourself.
And then you refi when it goes down.
Yesterday, we locked him into a rate in the high 7s, covered all his closing costs, saved him another $200 a month. And when they drop again at the end of the year, we'll refinance him again. So now he's up $3,200 a year. He hasn't paid anything. $3,200 a month, over 36 G's a year. And he's happy. So when the rates come down, we jump on it, right? He doesn't do this for a living. I'm like, hey, I don't want to give his name. Hey, bud, we're ready to go. Let's go. He's like, lock it in and go. So in 30 days, he'll save another $200 a month. That's the game.
You'll never feel badly about trusting Hochberg to take care of this stuff.
Watching your
when you
kids, maybe, but not.
When you sit down with a meeting with Hochberg, if he starts yelling, just put your hands over your ears and go, la, 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 just sign stuff.
And I'm so happy, David. You're just calm and cool today.
Yeah.
I like it.
And that's funny. Isn't it funny that this is calm and cool?
Yeah, this is calm.
For other people, this is fired up.
Yeah.
David Hochberg, thank you as always. Team Hochberg, where do we get to you?
855-56-DAVID. Go to 56david.com, and I'll get you that information about the interview with Jerry Clooney later.
All right, thanks.
No problem.
Jerry Clooney, the famous boxer, is coming to town. We're going to have him on to talk about a life that's pretty darn interesting.